Assalamualaikum and a very good morning, everyone. Dr. Hanim is here. Hello, Dr. Hanim. Can we hear you? Dr. Hanim is here. We cannot hear you, Dr. Hanim. Can you hear me? Hello. We cannot hear you. We cannot hear you, doctor. Okay. Morning, Lily.
Hello.
Okay, we can hear you, Dr. Hanim.
Okay, thank you.
Good morning, everyone. We will wait for the others to be here first, yeah?
Okay.
Miss KHAIRUL, can you call me later, perhaps after the session?
Oh, okay, sure.
Okay. Not Hanim, KHAIRUL Nisa comes in.
Oh, okay.
Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. Assalamualaikum. Hi, Dr. Hanim. How are you today?
Hello. Good, good. Serak.
Serai. Okay. Today we are so grateful to invite Dr. Hanim Pazim as our speaker for today with the title of Data Analysis, right? So let me have a brief introduction of Dr. Hanim. Yeah, Dr. Hanim is full name is Dr. KHAIRUL Hanim Pazim because there's a Hanim and Hanum in our faculty. So do not get mixed up, Hanim and Hanum. Yeah, there's two names, two different people. People get mixed up. Like they will always ask me like Dr. Hanim, but it's actually they are mentioning Hanum, the management lecturer. So she is a lecturer, a senior lecturer in economics. Kejap ya. Okay, in human resource economics. Yeah, have been with UMS for almost how many years, Doctor?
Since 2006.
2006. Berapa tahun tu? Almost 15 years. almost almost 15 years. Yeah. Her research studies, her research expertise is in the economics, labor economics, and aging studies. She's also a well-known they call this siapa ya? Gerontologist. I just found out about that today. Gerontologist. You know what is gerontologist? Is a study about what, Dr. Hanim? About aging studies.
Yeah, aging studies.
Aging studies. And what surprised me that Dr. Hanim does not age at all, even though she's aging studies. Yeah. She's a person fun to be with, okay? Always laughing, always smiling, okay? Currently, she is, there are 5 students under her supervision. Wow, there's a lot, yeah, doctor. And also she is famous, also well known for collaborating with a Japanese university and also getting grants from international and local establishment. Ya, betul kan, doktor?
Sikit-sikit lah, tak banyak.
Banyak lah. A lot. Like when I look at your Google Scholars, most article was cited, yeah, in a high impact journals, and also ni lah, you always get selalu dapat grant lah. Dr. Hanim ni memang terror lah buat grant. Okay, without further ado, okay, let me brief a little bit on the topic today is the data analysis, one of the topic that needs to be included in your proposal. Remember that this is already, I think, 6 week of this class, whereby we started with introduction and problem formulation. After that, we go into building your research framework. But I think the first part of the lectures are mostly on business side, yeah. But however, we will also incorporate with economic side as well, because most economists, they are using secondary data. Am I correct, Dr. Hanim?
Yeah.
Secondary, yeah. Most of the economics people are using secondary data, and Dr. Hanim is the expert on this area. Without further ado, I pass the session to Dr. Hanim. Over to you, Doctor.
Thank you, Dr. Izyanti. Thank you for inviting me to give a talk for this session today. Thank you for the kind introduction. Please don't believe 100% of those introductions. Okay, I'm still learning how to find a grant, to apply grants, and I'm also learning various things, especially in data analysis. Okay, I hope all of you are in good condition, in good health, and you are eager to listen to my talk today. And I think it's not too late for me to wish the Muslims Ramadan Kareem. Okay, we are just around the corner to celebrate Eid, and I hope as you are eager to celebrate Eid, you are also eager to listen to my talk today. Okay. Okay. So actually, I'm not the best person to talk on data analysis. Okay. I will share you my slide, the content of my slide. Yeah, sekejap. Okay. This is research methodology, MP12303 data analysis. So I've been given the task to talk about data analysis, and I will try my best to explain. And also I would like to share my experience dealing with my data analysis as well, okay? Because different students have different way of dealing with data analysis. Some of you are doing quantitative data, some of you are working with quantitative data. So there's a lot of ways of how to conduct data analysis. It is based on, again, your research question. It is based on your type of variables that you use in your research. So I may not be covering each and every single type of data analysis because it's too much. Okay. Some of you perhaps are dealing with the qualitative, which I'm not familiar with. I'm not a person who conduct qualitative research at the moment. And some of you may be conducting the mixed method, kan? Quanti and quali, that's the mixed method. So I'm also not familiar with that. So I will be just focusing basically on the quantitative side, but in general, the social sciences, okay? Not really the economics, because in my PhD, my field, when I did my PhD, I was under the social science department, which is gerontology department. Okay, this is a little bit about myself, as what Dr. Izyanti have mentioned. I did my bachelor's degree in KHAIRUL, that was in 2004, and my master's economics in KHAIRUL as well, and PhD in gerontology. And if you were wondering what gerontology is, yes, as we have discussed just now, it's about aging studies, okay? And some people, when I say that gerontology is about aging studies, people will ask me how to reduce the wrinkle, cruded di muka. I say, that's not my area. That's not, itu bukan area saya. So mungkin that one is those in the medical side or the skin punya apa kan. So I don't deal with those wrinkle on the face. Okay, I'm dealing with the aging studies, particularly in the labor economics, labor issues. Okay, so my specialization is labor economics, aging studies, and demographic studies. And I would like to share a little bit of my experience, my PhD, not journey, but my PhD, what I did during my PhD. It is, the title is the relationship between intergenerational transfer, co-residence, and labor participation among older people in Malaysia. So it's basically to see or to find what are the factors that affect labor participation among older people. Older people in the sense that they are already retired, 60 years and over. Okay, kalau di Malaysia, aging punya term, aging people is 60 years and above. So it is those people, those who have retired, and I want to see those who are retired, they are still working. So I want to see what are the factors that affect them to work or not to work. Okay, work and not work. To dummy variable, kan? Work or not working. Are you currently working? No or yes. Okay, so that is, I'm dealing with dummy variables. Okay, and I use the data set as maybe some of you might be doing primary data. Some of you are collecting data on your own. You go for the field work and you collect data, primary data. But I'm using a secondary data, which this is a primary data which have collected by the LPPKN, the Lembaga Penduduk dan Pembangunan Keluarga Negara. Okay, LPPKN have conducted this survey, which is the survey is called the MPFS, the Malaysian Population family survey 2014. So they have collected they have gone to the field work and collect those data, and I just use those data. Okay, so I'm using a secondary data based on their primary data. Okay, so this is the data set that I've used in my tool. So it saves time. Okay, I don't have to go and collect data satu-satu nak cari orang tua apa sebagainya kan. So I will have to find these older people and ask them about my research. But this have been conducted by LPPKN. So I just ask the LPPKN whether I can use those data set. And basically, when we are student, okay, PhD student, they will grant this data set to us. Of course, we need to apply secara formal lah. We apply formally to the LPPKN and ask them what are the type of variables that we want. They will not give all the variables. Okay, they gave me one questionnaire. Okay, that questionnaire is contains data lah, okay, because they went to the survey and collect data for all those they asked based on that questionnaire. However, I have to only select the pertinent variable that I use in my study. I cannot ask more than what is in my study. Okay, so they give me those raw data and they prepare it in SPSS. So again, it saves my time. I don't have to, I don't have to do the data entry because those data are already entered in this SPSS. Okay, when because yes, I know that the KPT only grant me 3 years to conduct my PhD. I think some of you who are under the KPT scholarship, they urge you to finish your study within 3 years. Okay, so you have to find ways of how you can manage your time. Okay, how to find ways of how you can, to make things simple. Okay, maybe you have to find ways lah. For me, Alhamdulillah, I was given this opportunity to use the data set from the LPPKN, and this really saved my time. Itu pun extend juga 6 bulan extension. Okay, so tak juga GOT. So bayangkan kalau if I were to collect data, I have to come back to Malaysia and collect the data, cari lagi orang-orang tua untuk apa semua kan. So I think it will it's a hassle to me lah. Okay, so that's a little bit of my journey.
Can I interrupt?
Yeah, sure.
Yes. So in the sense that for these students who have just started, they should already plan on, especially those who are using secondary data, they should already plan whether the data is easily available or it needs a special request from special people. Because I think certain things, especially in international country like China, those data are very private. I think, is that true?
Yes, I believe that. Yeah, I agree with your statement. Okay, because actually when we do our research, actually we have to see whether our data is available. Sometimes you come up with a very good research objective and then research question, and suddenly you don't have the data, and it is very difficult to find data. So my supervisor starts from the data and then go backwards. Start from asking me whether your data is available or not. Okay, so kalau in China, there's a lot of available data. Okay, panel data, they are very rich with data. Ada banyak, a lot of data set. Because I have a lot of China friend in Southampton, and they use secondary data, and those data are readily available and it's free. Compared to Malaysia, if we were to ask raw data from the Department of Statistics, we have to pay. Okay, and not all are available. Sometimes you can find macro data in the World Bank, okay, yang inflation, GDP, those are available lah, are freely available. But somehow there are certain data which is not available, and you have to ask Department of Statistics on how you can get those data. And it is not very, it is not cheap. Okay, but for UMS, for UMS, we have an MOU with the Department of Statistics, but I'm not sure whether the students can benefit from this MOU in getting the data from the Department of Statistics. Maybe you need to, you know, you need to check out lah. We need to check out lah, Dr. Izianti, whether students are also you know, have the chance to use the data set, because we have the I think we have the MOU with the, not us lah, not our faculty, but siapa tu, FSSA. Okay, so we can contact with the coordinator in FSSA, yeah, because they deal with the mathematician there deals with the MOU with the Department of Statistics. Okay, and then I think there's a lot of China students here, and I'm not sure whether what type of data that you are using. Are you using primary data, or you collect data on your own, or you use secondary data? Okay, if you use secondary data, okay, yeah, Statistical Yearbook for Academic Research. Okay, I hope that they have all the raw data needed for your research. Okay. Okay, escape lah, because we were actually I want to ask you what is data analysis, but I will just give the answers to you. So data analysis is a process of collecting, modeling, and analyzing data to extract insight that support decision making. Okay, in your research, you have your research question, and you have to prove, you have to find you need the finding of your the research question. Itu tinggal question, answer dia mana? So the answer is from this data analysis. So you have the research objective, research question. That research question is important. Why? Because it poses a question. It gives you the problem that you want to solve. So with this data analysis, this is the answer. Okay. And when you do the discussion, the conclusion part, itu adalah just to explain your findings. But the answers to your research question is doing this analysis. So that's why you have to make sure that your analysis is good. I mean, your analysis, you don't have mistakes in the analysis. So you have to really make sure that this data analysis, the process is valid. Okay. What is important here, maybe I will just give the guide to you of how to handle the data analysis. But in terms of the procedure of, let's say, for example, I'm doing my research, my data analysis, I conduct logistic regression, okay? I may just inform you that, okay, this, you can use logistic regression. However, in terms of conducting that logistic regression, you have to learn it by your own, okay? Your supervisor will not teach you how to do that, okay? Your supervisor will not teach you how to do that. You have to do it on your own, okay? You have to go for training. You have to go and seek any statistician who are expert in that particular analysis, okay? For me, I have a statistician at my university. He is a research officer. He's a researcher at the university, and he deals with students who have problem with their statistical analysis. Okay, so they provide this this assistance. But I'm not sure with other university. But in my university, they provide, if we have questions regarding our statistical analysis, we are able to go and ask for help. We seek help from those statisticians. So I seek help from him, and besides that, I also go for training. So I commute from Southampton to London to go for this training, only for this logistic regression. Okay, I can just learn from the internet. Okay, I can just learn from the Google. I can just ask Professor Google to help me. Okay, Professor YouTube to help me. But everything we have to, kalau kita belajar, kita kena berguru kan, berguru. Of course, those YouTube, those apa semua tu can guide us, but it is good if we can have a teacher or someone who are expert to explain it to us if we have any problems with statistical analysis. So when dealing with data analysis, of course, you have a lot of process to do. I'm not sure if I have it. Okay, the steps in data analysis before the data collection, you have to determine the method of analysis. Okay, later on I will show you how to find a suitable method for your data analysis. Nak guna apa? Nak guna hierarchical ke, nak guna apa, logistic ke, nak guna apa ke, those I will give you a guide, but the procedure for doing that and the interpretation of apa, when you get the findings there, it is on your own. Okay, I just give you the guide how to find suitable tests or analysis. However, once you know what is the suitable test or the analysis that you should do, you have to search on your own. Okay, again, whether you find a statistician to help you, you do a self-study, okay, or you go for training. Okay, there's a lot of training going on, so you have to be aware of the training. Siapa yang kalau if you notice that in the Facebook kan, okay, I have this I have a Facebook and I use my Facebook to look for certain trainings, a lot of training to do literature review, training to do data analysis, training to do sometimes it's very specific, how to write abstract. Okay, so it's very important that you are well versed with all of these aspects. Okay?
Yeah, I do agree with Dr. Hanim, because I remember my time before I pursue my PhD, I already go to this training.
Yeah.
How to do problem statement, how to identify your gap, because I myself before study, I don't know how to do it. You know, if I harap my university, I think only like this lah, you know, not really into in depth. So we ourselves need to go out and find training lah kan?
Yeah, we have to invest lah, a little bit of investment. Okay, maybe of course the training costs quite apalah, kadang-kadang tu 100, 120, 150. It depends on maybe the expert of the speaker as well. Okay, and but I think it's worth. Okay, it's worth spending and investing in all of this training. Okay, because when we do apa tu, kadang-kadang kita shock sendiri je buat kan, kadang-kadang salah, apa yang kita buat tu salah, kita rasa macam betul dah, abstract macam ni, tapi actually there is a way of how you construct abstract. There's a way of how you deal with research question, research objective, and then the introduction itself. Kadang-kadang I have I have a problem with my introduction. When I do the introduction, it's similar to doing literature review. So I don't know, am I doing literature review or I'm doing introduction? So the things in the introduction is also my literature review. Okay, so how to disaggregate kan, macam how to distinguish between an introduction and how to do the literature review. Sometimes you need a guide from someone who are expert. Okay, the supervisor will just read and they will check. Itu saja. Okay, they will read and check and mungkin bagi some. Dia kadang-kadang dia tak bagi jawapan pun, dia bagi correct this, edit this, apa itu je. But it's your own responsibility. Okay, to really know what you are doing. Okay, supervisor akan tulis je kat situ. Please edit, please add citation. Macam ni. You have to find your own text. your citation. Okay. Kalau my supervisor lagi dia very particular. Each sentence mesti ada citation. Okay, where do you get this? Where do you get this? So saya macam semua benda ke kena cari citation. So to that extent. Semua ayat kena ada citation. So itulah it's a learning process. Before I do my PhD, my knowledge is also zero. I don't really know how to do it. Kalau buat kertas research paper, dia quite similar, but it's different. Okay, it's different in terms of the process. Process dia different. Okay, the literature review kalau dalam research paper sikit je, dia tak guna sangat, dia tak rigorous sangat. Dia tak payah teori yang banyak dan sebagainya. But if you were to do your thesis, you have to follow the process and the procedure. Okay, and then you have to determine how to process the data. That means the procedure lah. Once you know what type of method the analysis or the method that you need to use, you need to know the process. Apa dia punya proses dia, kena ada ini. Okay, but I will not explain you on this because it differs from one student to another student. So you have various way of different process lah. And determine the data analysis software. Okay, yang ni kemudian lah. Once you know that your data is available, you know what is your analysis, and you know what is the process or procedure of coming up with the analysis, you also need to consider the data analysis software. Okay, some student might be using Stata, IBM SPSS software. Some of you might be using Envivo, Atlas TI, ada lagi apa lagi? PLS kan? PLS. Kalau PLS yang pakar kat faculty kita, the expert in our faculty is Dr. Jude. Okay? Expert in PLS. And I think he also conduct training. So please make sure if you are using the structure equation model tu kan. So you go to his talk or training. Okay, and I consult a statistician to verify whether what I'm doing is correct or not. And sometimes I do have difficulty during while I'm editing this the analysis, the data. Okay, so the stages of data analysis to check whether we have error and to verify that our data is good enough is through the editing, coding, data entry, and finally we analyze it. Okay, we cannot analyze without editing it. A lot of editing should be done before you do the data analysis. A lot. Okay, even though I receive the data set from the Department of not Department of Statistics, from the LPPKN, I found that there are a lot of kosong-kosong kan, ada loophole kat situ, ada missing data. Okay, so I need to ensure that the process of editing should be done. Okay, you edit. Kalau if you are doing primary data, especially primary data, please make sure that you also do field editing. When you do your field work, okay, you can sometimes identify certain omission or inconsistency in your questionnaires, for example. You can edit during that time. Okay, and sometimes in open-ended question, interviews or questionnaire, sometimes you need to edit during that particular time because when you do that field work, if you think that there are something missing, you can clarify with that person. So you don't have to wait until the end of the day to edit. Once you are conducting your fieldwork, you can also edit during that time. Okay, so if make sure that you can your respondent is able to be contacted if you find that there are some missing elements or data inside your questionnaire. Okay, the data that you get from the respondents. And then of course you have to look for consistency and completeness Okay. And also in terms of coding, coding, you need to also make sure that you code your data, because the system, whether you do Stata ke, you do using eViews ke, SPSS ke, kan, they identify numerical data. So you somehow need to code. Let's say, for example, male and female. You code male for 1 for male, 2 for female, for example. So that is the coding. So you have to do coding and make sure that you handle blank responses. Okay. If your questionnaire, if you receive the written questionnaire, and the questionnaire is, if you find that it's more than 25%, you have a missing unanswered question. Okay, so you have to throw it away. You cannot use. Okay, but if you have less omission inside, tak banyak yang missing data, there is a way of how to handle blank responses. Okay, kadang-kadang you can ask the computer to ignore the blank responses, and maybe you can assign a mean to the value of the responses, kan? And then maybe you can also give a random number within the range for the skill. Tapi kalau tak banyak, kalau banyak cannot. If it's a lot, you cannot do that. Kalau 1-2 missing, you adalah dia punya cara dia. Okay, and SPSS ataupun the software, any software is able to help you to handle blank responses. Okay, okay. On how to do that, dia kena pergi ke training lah, training SPSS ke, training apa semua kan. So you learn from there lah. Okay. And then why is coding important? Because it facilitates the computer analysis, and it makes it more systematic in a way that the system can visualize the data entry. And then and you also need to ensure all these stages, okay, editing, coding, data entry. Why do you need to do this? The aim is to test the goodness of the data, okay, whether it is valid or not. Okay, you have to clean the database through editing, coding semua ni. You have to have a clean database, and you have to check for problematic data. Okay, and then you develop and apply a consistent procedure for missing variable inside missing data. Okay, and you can add missing values or remove responses. It depends on kadang-kadang it depends on your common sense juga kadang-kadang. Common sense lah. I may say common sense lah. And then after that, you do the data analysis. Okay, so preparing the data first, of course, all this needs to be done: editing, handling, blank responses, coding, categorization, and data entry. And then semua ni is to ensure the accuracy of the data. Okay, from the raw data to a reduced data. Okay, kadang-kadang you have an open-ended question. What is your age? Punya banyak kan? Umur panjang sampai ke bawah age-nya kan. So you have to categorize lah. Maybe put it in a range 20 to 25, 26 to 30. Those are example of categorizing. And then when you categorize, okay, 20 to 25, you put one coding, 1. 26 to 30, coding dia 2. So categorize and coding. Okay, and sometimes you have to do some merging. Okay, merging pun ada. So those things you have to learn in a specific or particular software that you are handling. So it is much more understandable. Okay, because I don't know other software. I don't deal with other software. But if you are able to familiarize yourself with a lot of software, that is good. Okay, that is a added advantage for you. Okay, banyak macam a lot of organization will want person to to have this skill, analytical skill, can analyze data. A lot of business organization also seek for people who have the skill of analyzing data. Okay, not just for you do this, you have this skill not just for your study, but maybe also in work, especially doing research. Not only doing research, kalau if you are working outside from academic punya field, businesses also would want to seek for these skills. Okay, and then you explore and displaying and examining the data. Okay. Okay, so before we go into understanding or wanting to find a suitable analysis, okay, first of all, you have to know the types of variable that you are using. Okay, of course, we have dependent variable, independent variable, but later on we will look into that. Types of variable, the level of measurement, that is important, even though it looks like macam tidaklah penting, but it is understanding your level of measurement, the type of variable that you are using, can you can easily know what type of analysis that you should be doing. Okay. Okay, for interval or ratio, it's continuous. Okay, contohnya berat, ketinggian, temperature. So these are continuous variable. Variables where the distance between categories are identical across the range. So we have kalau weight, height, temperature, that is an example of interval. And any other examples yang have the similar description goes under interval and ratio. Okay, ordinal. Okay, variables whose categories can be ranked, ordered, but the distance between the categories are not equal across the range. Okay, for example, age category. Okay, age category. Kenapa dia boleh rank? Because, for example, just now, 20 and below. Okay, let's say lah, 20 and below, then 21 to 25, for example. 20 and below, and then 21 to 25, you make a category of that. Okay, once you do a category of that, those category in terms of the distance, they are not equal across the range. Ada yang before 20 and then above 80, kan range dia tak sama, but it can be ordered. Okay, ordered dia in terms of the order lah, 20 dari umur young kepada umur tua. Okay, from young to old, for example. So you can order them. So it is an ordinal category of a variable. And then nominal variables whose category cannot be ranked. Okay, you have a lot of category, but it cannot be ranked. Okay, for example, ethnicity. Okay, Bumiputra, and then Chinese, Indian. You can put Chinese in front. On the top, you can put Indian on the top. It doesn't matter. Okay, it doesn't give any impact pun if you were to put those in different order. Okay, it is called categorical. And then dichotomous ni kalau dia ada, if you have two variables that contains two category. For example, gender, male and female. Okay, male and female. That is dichotomous. Yes or no. Okay, yes or no. That is dichotomous. Or we call it dummy variable. Okay. Kalau gender ni, if notice kan, kalau di Malaysia, gender ni, male and female. So it goes under dichotomous. Tetapi if I were to answer questionnaire from overseas, dia ada banyak. Gender dia ada pelik-pelik dia punya kategori gender. Okay. Mungkin dia punya culture, they have different type of acknowledging the gender. Okay, so that cannot be under dichotomous lah. It can be under nominal. Okay, so generally something which it contains two category, it goes under dichotomous ataupun dummy variable. Okay, I would like to share my dependent variable. This is independent, dependent. My dependent variable is dichotomous. I want to know all the people who are working. So the question there is, are you currently working or not? That is my dependent variable. Working, are you currently working or not? Yes or no. So it goes under dichotomous. I have two categories. Okay, so make sure when you look into your dependent variable, it is important that you know what type of variable that is, whether it is interval, ordinal, nominal, or dichotomous, because it will affect your type of analysis later. So how to decide how to categorize a variable if you don't know whether is it dichotomous ke, categorical ke, so you can have this analyze through this lah. Are there more than two categories? Yeah, ada dua category. Then that is dichotomous. If no, go to the next stage. Can the categories be ranked ordered? If it's no, it's nominal or categorical. If it's yes, again, you have to answer, are the distance between the category equal? Equal yang macam height, yang macam weight, it's equal. But if you have age, so that is not equal. So again, if it's yes, it's an interval or ratio. If it's no, it is an ordinal. So please have this in mind in case you might be lost somewhere in your studies. You don't know how to define your variable, so you can use this as a guidance. Okay, so data analysis, we have two types, which is quantitative and qualitative. Of course, for qualitative, I'm not too familiar with that, but for qualitative analysis, what you need to do, you have to prepare and organize data, transcribe verbal data to written data. Okay, you do the transcription, kan? And you organize data for manageability, read and take notes or memo, describe, classify, interpret. So you have a working on the coding. You sometimes NVivo can help you. I think NVivo can help you with this classification or the themes. No need to inform in the thesis. You just need to know what is your level of measurement to identify later what is your data analysis that you should be using. Okay, and to come up with the themes. Describe, classify, interpret using NVivo to come up with the themes. Of course, the themes, if you do it manually pun okay. If you do with the help of the software pun boleh. Okay, and represent and visualize, do comparison table, hierarchy tree, and so on. So that is qualitative. But for the quantitative in general, okay, you have the descriptive statistic. Of course, you need to know frequency lah. Selalunya frequency, mean, median, mode. Okay, this is usually if you want to demographic data. Okay, you can start off with the descriptive statistic. Okay, berapa ramai how many male respondents, how many female respondents, and then how many in terms of income, how many respondents are categorized under a certain range of income, and so on. So those are descriptive statistics that you have to do. Okay, and whatever you state in the table or figure, please make sure that you explain bawah tu. Okay, I noticed that a lot of students sometimes they put figures, they put tables, but they don't explain. So there's no need of you putting those tables or figures if you don't explain at the bottom or above the table or the figures. So please make sure whatever you put as a table or whatever you put as a figure, okay, please make sure you explain. Okay, and later on, after you do the descriptive statistic, you do your inferential statistic, the true analysis. Okay, kalau logistic regression lah again, and then you test testing of hypothesis. In my study, I don't have to test the hypothesis because it is a regression. Okay, I don't need to test hypothesis whether this hypothesis is true or not. Some research, they test hypothesis. They give the hypothesis whether it is accepted or rejected. For me, I don't do that test. But a lot of students in our faculty, they do that, this hypothesis punya type of research. You have the hypothesis, and then you test whether it's rejected or it is accepted. So that is in inferential statistics. And then you run using statistical software package, okay? And appropriate tests depend on variable types and research questions. That's why this is important. In order for you to identify what is your suitable analysis, you need to see your variable type first, okay? And the research question. What type of research question that you have? Okay, a little bit of, I think all of you know this already, okay, independent variable, okay, if you have the framework too, your independent variable will be on your left side, okay, dependent will be on your right side. Independent variable is a variable you manipulate or vary in experimental study. It is called independent because it's not influenced by any other variables in the study. And you have to make sure that independent variables have a lot of nama dia, kan? It can be explanatory variable. It's also your independent variable. Predictor variables is your independent variable. Sometimes people call it right-hand side variable. Kenapa right-hand side variable? Because when you put in a regression equation, it is on your right side. Tapi if it's in the yang framework punya tu, it's in your left-hand side. Okay, so it is called right-hand side variable because it appear on the right-hand side of the regression equation, not in the bentuk apa tu framework tu. Okay, so these terms are especially used in statistics where you estimate the extent to which independent variable change can explain or predict changes in the dependent variable. Okay, this is dependent variable. It will be on your right-hand side if it's in the framework form. Though. A dependent variable is a change as a result of independent variable manipulation. So in statistics, it is called response variable. Response variable pun dependent variable juga. Outcome variable pun dependent variable juga. Left hand side variable is also dependent variable. Okay, the usage kadang-kadang mungkin super nanti in your viva ditanya response variable, tiba-tiba you tak tahu apa response variable, tak pernah dengar pun, you have not even heard about response variable. What is that? It's actually your dependent variable. So you need to know these various terms of dependent variable because researchers might be using different terms interchangeably. What about mediator variable? Okay, I'm not too familiar with mediator. Satu lagi moderator. I'm not too familiar with that, but this is just an information that perhaps it might help you for those who are using mediator variable. A mediator is a way in which an independent variable impacts a dependent variable. It's part of the causal pathway of an effect, and it tells you how or why an effect takes place. So if something is a mediator, it is caused by the independent variable and influences the dependent variable. And when it is taken into account, the statistical correlation between the independent and dependent variable is higher than when it isn't considered. So you must make sure, in order for you to identify whether that is a mediator variable or not, you have to do a statistical correlation between the independent and the dependent variable. If the correlation is higher when, the correlation will be higher if you consider that variable. If it's not, then it's not considered as mediator. Okay, so mediation analysis is a way of statistically testing whether a variable is a mediator using linear regression analysis or Anova. So you can use this to verify whether your variable is a mediator or not. Okay, so this is an example. You can use a descriptive research design for this study to see whether it is your variable ni becomes a mediator or not. After collect data on each of these variable, you perform a statistical analysis to check. Okay, for example, in this particular example, you have socioeconomic status, parental education level as the mediator variable, and then this is the dependent variable, child reading ability. So they want to see whether they want to test whether socioeconomic status will have an impact on child reading ability, and also through parental education levels. So socioeconomic status predicts parental education levels. So you need to check whether it really predicts socioeconomic status predicts child reading ability. Number two, parental education predicts child reading ability. This is a second process that you need to know. Okay, and then step by step for apa tadi for missing data, you don't have to put it in the document. However, when in the Viva, if your examiner asks you how you handle with missing variable, then you can explain. That means you know how to explain how you use, but you don't need to explain that in the document, your PhD or thesis or your master document. Okay. Satu lagi, terjawab pula yang atas tu. Okay, the correlation between socio-economic status and child reading ability is greater when parental education level are taken into account in your model. Then it becomes a mediator variable. If the correlation between socio-economic status and child reading ability is greater when parental education level are taken into account in your model. So you must make sure your mediator variable ni, is it a mediator or not mediator? You have to follow this type of example. Okay, mula dia tengok dulu socioeconomic status, reading ability, and then they look into the parental correlation between this one and child reading ability. Then you can test whether if you put parental education level, whether it would be greater, the correlation would be greater or not. Okay, if it's greater, then it becomes a mediator. If it's not, then it's not a mediator variable. What about moderator variable? Ini pun quite common in our faculty. Student buat moderator, ada mediator kan. So this is moderator. So moderator, yes, statistical, yeah, true. Dr. Izianti, thank you very much. There's a lot of software available in conducting the analysis. And a moderator influences the level, direction, or presence of a relationship between variables. It shows you for whom, when, or under what circumstances a relationship will hold. Okay, so the moderator usually help you judge the external validity of your study by identifying the limitation of when the relationship between variables hold. Okay, for example, social media can predict level of loneliness, and this relationship may be stronger for adolescent than for older adults. So age is a moderator here. Okay, so the moderators can be categorical variables, for example, ethnicity, race, religion, favorite color, health status. Okay, so quantitative variable can also be a moderator. Age, weight, height, income, visual stimulus size. So all of these are example of moderator. So how do you want to identify whether that a variable is a moderator or not? Okay, in a study on work experience and salary, you hypothesize that okay, this is between work experience and salary. Higher work experience, whether your salary will also increase or not. You want to see. So years of work predicts salary when controlling for relevant variables. Whether gender identity moderates the relationship between work experience and salary, whether there's a difference between if you were to look into a male and female. Okay, is there any differences? So this means that the relationship between years of experience and salary would differ between men and women and those who do not identify as men and women. So you have to test whether it is a moderator variable or whether it is a moderator variable or not, using okay. So ini you have to see what are the analysis that you should do when you want to identify the moderator variable. Is it the same as mediating? Okay. A control variable is anything that is held constant or limited in a research study. So it's a variable that is not of interest. You are not interested in that. Those variable are not your interest in your study. It's not your study aims, but it's controlled because it could influence the outcome. So, for example, here variables may be controlled directly by holding them constant throughout a study, or they can be controlled indirectly through methods. Okay, for example, this one lah. Okay, your aim or your interest of study is to see whether soil quality affect plants growth. Okay, however, the plant growth is associated with the temperature, amount of light, amount of water, but you are not interested in this. You want to see this plant growth and soil quality. You don't want to see this temperature, amount of light, amount of water. However, these affect this. Okay, so you need to control this variable. So this is what we call as controlled variable. Okay, how does caffeine improve memory recall? Okay, memory recall, it is what influence memory recall? Maybe your age, dah tua and then you lupa-lupa kan, ada dementia, all those disease among older people. Age of participant, it might affect memory recall. Noise in the environment, bising. You cannot recall things because it's too bising, it's too noisy. You cannot concentrate, kan? Type of memory test. Okay, so also if the memory test is very difficult, and then you cannot recall that. So all of these influence your memory recall, but we are not interested with participant age, the noise, or whatever. So that is considered the control variable. Okay, so you can hold this constant in your research. Okay, for top 4 data analysis techniques, for quantitative data analysis, regression lah, then hypothesis analysis. Kalau regression, economics selalu buat regression, examine the relationship between two variables. Okay, and hypothesis analysis. Yang hypothesis tu dah, you have a hypothesis, and then you want to test whether it's true or not, accepted or rejected. So that is the hypothesis analysis. But for regression, we don't have that hypothesis. We don't have the statement hypothesis, and we don't need for accepting or rejecting things. Okay, so regression, we have different type of way of doing it. So you need to know what are the procedures when you do the regression, what are the procedures when you do the hypothesis analysis. And then for qualitative analysis, maybe some of you might be doing content analysis, discourse analysis. So you also need to know, once you know what type of analysis that you should do, make sure that you know the process of doing it, you know how the procedure of conducting it. Okay. Okay, so we have types of statistic tests. Okay, so now I would like to go into another part. Okay. I have to share first. I just want to ask you, can you see this?
We are seeing your, what is this? Your types of statistical tests.
Okay.
Yeah.
Saya
this topic itself is very wide, kan, Doctor?
Dulu, and then I share another one here. Okay, I think this will help you as a guide lah. Okay, besarkan sikit. Okay. Okay, we have to, when you, so that's why this is important. This is the dependent variable, independent variable. This is a dependent variable. Okay, this is just a guideline for you. Okay, it's a guideline for you. You can later on go and check back what are the suitable data analysis that you should conduct. Okay, this is just a guideline lah. Sebenarnya there's a lot of other data analysis, but again, it depends on your research question. Okay, kalau sometimes research question will not fit into this description, the things that I'm going to inform you now. Okay, some will not. Sometimes you have, if you do panel data, it does not suit this one. Okay, this is using the general regression. Okay, we want to know the relationship, for example, so we use this guidance. Okay, we want to test of independence. Okay, so we have the dependent variable which is nominal. Okay, just disregard apa-apa dalam sini lah, because this is just an example. It can be any nominal, so that's why you need to know whether your variable is nominal or not, ataupun whether your variable is ordinal ke, ratio ke, dichotomous, and so on. So let's say the independent variable is nominal, and then your dependent variable is nominal as well. So you have to use the test of independence. Okay, nanti you check lah how to use what is the procedure of testing the independence. Okay, test the differences. Man with me. When do we use that? If the dependent variable is ordinal and your independent variable is nominal. And then nominal in the sense that it has two levels. Okay. Kalau nominal and it has two levels, you can use test of differences, man with me. Okay. Then test of differences using t-test. When do you use this t-test? It is when your independent variable is nominal and it has two levels, not more than two levels, two levels. And then the dependent variable is interval or ratio. Then you use t-test, test of differences using t-test. Test of differences using Kruskal-Wallis. If, okay, it is nominal, your independent variable is nominal, however, it has more than two levels. Okay, it has more than two levels. Okay, it can be, for example, here ada tunjuk education level. Okay, and then your dependent variable is ordinal. Then you use Kruskal-Wallis. Okay, test of differences, one-way Anova. How do you want to know whether you have to use one-way Anova or not? Okay, your nominal must be more than two level. Okay, nominal but more than two level, and your dependent variable is interval or ratio. So you use test of differences, one-way Anova. And then if you use correlation, Spearman ring, if your independent variable is ordinal and your dependent variable is ordinal as well. So you use test of relationship, correlation, Spearman ring. If you have your independent variable which is interval or ratio, and your dependent variable is also interval or ratio, you use apa? Correlation, Pearson zero order. All of these are in your SPSS. Kalau you use SPSS lah, you just tekan-tekan saja. It's just that you need to know which one that you need to press. Kan? So you press according to this guideline. Okay. If you use experimental design, Wilcoxon match pair, if it's using experimental design, pre and post study lah. Okay. If your dependent variable, independent variable is ordinal and your dependent variable is ordinal, so you use this. If it's independent variable is interval or ratio, and again your post test is interval or ratio as well, then you use paired t-test. Kalau experimental design, dia ada intervention lah di sini kan, macam tu. So you use Friedman two-way Anova. Okay, ordinal, if it's ordinal, and the intervention, and your post, pre-intervention and post is ordinal, then you use experimental design. Okay, if it's repeated, you repeat the test. Okay, you have the variable as interval ratio throughout all of this data, then you use repeated measure Anova. Yang ini this is my my study. Okay, I have attitudes. Sebenarnya it's not inilah. Okay, this is the independent variable. Okay, it doesn't matter. Your independent variable can be continuous. Your independent can be anything here. It can be anything. As long as your dependent variable is continuous, you have to do multiple regression. Continuous ni apa? Yang tadilah interval ratio, okay? You have to use multivariate regression. It doesn't matter if your independent can be anything, but your dependent is continuous, you have to use multivariate multiple regression. If your independent variable can be anything, it can be whatever measurement, but as long as your dependent variable has 2 or more than 2 level, okay, you can use multivariate discriminant, okay, multiple test of relationship. Okay, this is my study. Okay, why this is 2 or more level, my dependent variable. Why? Because I use are you currently working or not working? Yes or no? Yes or no to 2. If you have yes, no, unsure, 3, you have 3, then you use also this can be applied lah. You use multivariate logistic regression. It doesn't matter the dependent independent variable here can be any measurement, tak kisah, doesn't matter. But what is important is your dependent variable must be 2 level or more than 2 level. You use multiple logistic regression. So that's why from here I know, oh, I have to use multiple regression, multiple logistic regression. Why? Because the nature of my data, the nature of my study is this thing. Tak adalah benda ni kan, I don't use attitude apa semua. It's not. One of my ini adalah I think categorical, my independent variable. Okay, it can be anything. It doesn't matter. As long as your dependent variable has 2 level or more, then you use the multivariate logistic regression. Okay, and then if you have the similar to the above situation, however, you have a continuous as your dependent variable, it's continuous. And then you have a moderator here, which is experience, then it is multivariate hierarchical regression. Okay. And then you have this mediator. Okay, mediator. So multivariate mediated regression as long as your dependent variable is continuous. It doesn't matter here, whatever it is, but you have a mediator, and then you have a continuous dependent variable, then you use multivariate mediated regression. And if you have a moderator here, okay, and your dependent variable is continuous, you use experimental design 2-way Anova, and that's it. Okay, so going back, stop sharing here, and going back to the original. Okay. Okay, so we have different types of statistical tests, okay, based on the guideline just now. Okay, so here is the most common statistical software for data analysis. Okay, you can use soft SPSS. Okay, no longer they call it SPSS. If you write in your thesis, don't put SPSS. SPSS now it is different name. It is called IBM SPSS software. Okay, or statistic, something like that. IBM SPSS software. Okay, and then you can use data, eViews, PLS, MATLAB, SAS, NVivo. It depends on what type of you need to know the nature of those of your study, and also whether the software can help you analyze those data. Okay, so a lot of range, the different range of software tools available, and each offers something slightly different to the user. For example, Stata is slightly similar to SPSS, however, it's more enriching. The features are more better than SPSS, but in my study, I use SPSS. I don't use data because I'm worried that kalau I spend time in learning the data, it will consume time kan. So I didn't. But it is an added advantage if you know both lah. Stata and SPSS. If you are good in both, please use the Stata because it's the feature are more interesting compared to SPSS. And what you choose will depend on the range of factors, including your research question, knowledge of statistics, and experience of coding. So that's why my knowledge of statistics and my experiencing of using SPSS is more compared to Stata. So I'm comfortable using SPSS, so I use SPSS. Okay. If you know others, then you are welcome to use other softwares. Okay, as long as it suits your research question. And that's why it is important if you were to look into previous study. How do they use? If you see that your topic is similar to other topic, someone's topic, similar in terms of their variables, in terms of the research question, you can see what type of software that they use. Okay, from literature review, from other people's work, you may know what software they are using. Okay, and also you can ask statistician whether your research question suits the software that you are going to use. So this research can mean that you are at the cutting edge of data analysis, but as with any research, the quality of the data obtained is reliant upon the quality of the study execution. Okay, so therefore it is important to keep in mind that while you might have advanced statistical software and the knowledge to use it, but the result won't mean much if they weren't collected in a valid way. So that's why if you don't collect it in a valid way, you didn't do any editing, you don't do any coding, you don't do any cleaning of your data, how sophisticated your statistical software is, it doesn't make sense or it doesn't make use to your study. Because the important thing that is the your data is collected and being entered in a valid way. That is important. So what are the books that I used during my study? This is the SPSS survival manual. They have the latest version, but this is, I think it's the 6th version. They have the latest version, I suppose. I think the latest version lagi macam warna biru. Okay, and then Creswell, and then Alan Bryman. So this are the books that I use. Okay, it is very easy to get all these books. It is very mahal lah. It's very mahal, but you can get it free PDF by going into this Z library. Go into this Z library. You can get a lot of textbook, okay, which will help you in your study. Okay, it can be, and you just press apa tu panggil research method books, semua keluar. Okay, you can get a PDF of that. So make sure you go into this website. Okay, and also I learned a lot from other people's thesis, because if I look into other people's research paper, it might not follow the procedure of a thesis. So what helps in my literature review is from the literature article from journal. It helps me in terms of my literature review. But to help me in terms of the methodology, I use a lot of people's thesis. Okay, so unfortunately in Malaysia, the thesis that you find, if a candidate study in Malaysia, and you find the thesis is available, however, keluar sampai takat introduction je. Ada thesisnya available online, however, it's up to introduction. Sometimes it's up to acknowledgement. Sometimes it's up to maybe 1 chapter, and then it doesn't have the remaining chapter. But if you can find thesis from overseas, okay, you can use this ethos ni. Okay, this is I think ethos ni from UK. So candidates who ataupun students who conduct their PhD overseas, you can find their thesis available in full. So it can really help you in looking how you want to construct your analysis chapter. Okay, I learned a lot from other people's thesis. I just follow the guideline there. Okay, once I know what is a suitable analysis that I should do, I find thesis that use the same analysis, and I follow how they construct it in the thesis. So it's not plagiarizing because I'm using my own way of writing. I'm just following as a guidance. Okay. So thank you and all the best for all of you in your postgraduate study. If you have any question, you can raise. Yes. Did I miss any question here? Thank you, Dr. Izyanti, for helping me to answer some of the question here, which I missed. Okay, so I think I hope that this talk will help you in stimulate your motivation to complete your thesis or your dissertation. Okay.
I do believe, Dr. Hanim, I agree when you said that your literature review are based on journals because it's up to date. You know, your literature review needs to be up to date. But in terms of methodology on how you analyze your data, because it has to be really detailed, right? You have to write very detailed in your thesis. So like me as well, I look at other people's thesis. In my case, I don't have population because tak ada population. So how am I supposed to write when there is no population? You know, there is a way. There is a way to write it. Okay, how to retrieve it. There's a way of writing it. So that's why I look at other people's thesis who does not have population. So that's how I write. It's not copy. It's not plagiarism, is what you mentioned, but using their ways of writing. Because I myself, that thing does not come like that from you, right?
Yeah, betul.
Few reading, a lot of reading.
Yeah, a lot of reading. Actually, when you do your thesis, you do your your dissertation, you require a lot of skills. You have to find the materials. Finding the materials is also a skill. You need to conquer the skill of finding the materials and sorting those materials and organize your materials. And then when after that, when you do your literature review, again, the skills of writing. It's not a general writing, it is an academic writing, which you have to follow the suitable jargon in academic wordings, academic writing. Okay, and then again, the skill of doing the research, in collecting data. How you want to collect data? What is the skill that you need to collect data? The skill of putting the data into the software. Another skill that you have to learn. There's a lot of skills. Actually, it's a blend of skills. And then when you you graduate, you will be very satisfied because you have
you right. And also, Dr. Hanim, I would also like to pinpoint that your supervisor will not teach you, right? She or he will guide you, but she will not teach you how to analyze, what is the first step to analyze, second step. Tak, dia tak akan tu, dia boleh bantu, but she or he will not teach you. Okay, come here, sit down. Number one, press this, press that. No, I don't think that. My supervisor also did not do that to me. I go to class. I went to classes to study my own. Right? I don't know the others. I don't know the others how, but that's how it. When I know that, okay, you have to use this. I'm using PLSM. I was like, okay, I'm quite familiar, but I don't really apa macam ni? Mahir. I'm not really mahir, so I still need to learn on how to do it. You know why, Dr. Hanim? Because I went to few pre-viva session in our faculty. Some examiners, they're really detailed in terms of data analysis. Dia tanya, what does it mean by that? Why do you put that? Why do you put here? If you don't know how to answer, it's not you. It's not your work, you know? So that's the reason why we really need to know what we are doing.
In terms of the explaining your justification of adopting certain analysis, or why you do this, you do that in the data analysis part, I encourage you to read the textbook lah. Kan? The textbook gives you the background of why you have to use that. Okay. Textbook ataupun yelah textbook, and then because that is the macam, that is the basis lah. They give you the basis why
I
you
still
have
read textbook too. I still read textbook. That's why some student came to me and give me their proposal 10 pages. It's not detailed. So if you go to proposal defense, people will ask you, how do you collect your data? How are you going to analyze your data later? I think also I was like, oh my God, takut. You really need to put in detail, right, Doctor?
detail. The process, the process, you need to really explain it, the process of doing it. Okay. And then if you do not put it in there, you should be able to answer it lah. If you don't put it there, maybe during the correction you can put it later. But the important thing that you know what you are doing when the examiner asks you about certain analysis, why you do this and that, you are able to answer it. Luckily in my university, they are not really concerned about the method. I don't know why. They don't really, I only have one question related to the analysis. Sometimes the like what I can see that in Malaysia, the analysis part is advanced in Malaysia compared to the university I study. Okay, they don't focus on SEM SEM. Some lecturer doesn't know, kan? So I think Malaysia is more advanced in terms of the analysis.
Yeah. Any questions? One of the students asked whether we can show one of software. I said it depends. There's a lot of statistical software. We cannot show which one. We cannot teach you on how to use that, right, Dr. Hanim? Because I myself learning PLSM, I think it took me 3 days to go for that course, you know, because from step 1, what you need to put, step 2, step 3, how to analyze, how to write findings until the end. So I don't think Dr. Hanim has the time in 1 hour to show you one of the software. Cannot lah kan, Doctor? We just tell you.
Training, hands-on training. It have to be a hands-on training. Everyone have the, for example, SPSS. Semua prepared with the SPSS. Okay, and then the instructor will guide you. Okay, now we tekan apa, we press apa. That's a special training to do that. Maybe on if you can find some any good instructors in who can guide student and you know give training on certain certain software, that's very good. Maybe the postgrad can consider that as well.
Yeah, true. Because like my supervisor currently, I have one student, master student. She's doing qualitative. I myself asked her to go for course. Okay, go to course, learn how to do it. Later, you come and see me, and I will verify whether it's correct or not. You know, because I'm not going to teach. Okay, first you do this, second you do that.
The topic, the gist of the research is perhaps we can tell which statistical. To jawab the research question, they have different type of ways. That different type of ways to answer your research question, you have to look on your own.
Yeah, and also you don't need to learn all. Tak payah semua software tu kita belajar kan.
Be specific. Kalau logistik lah you go.
No need to learn all. No need. Later they will be scared. So many things they need to learn. No need. Only for your knowledge you can learn, but for your PhD or for your thesis, you master only the one that you are using for your thesis, right? Any more questions? Thank you, Dr. Hanim.
Thank you very much. Thank you for your participation. And thank you for the questions that you raised. And if you have any question, you can just, you can just email me. Where I put my email here lah sekejap.
You can put your email. Because I know the topic itself is very wide. Besar kan? Very wide. Okay. So thank you Dr. Hanim. Maybe kita ambil gambar dulu. Puan Elizabeth, are you there?
Ya, ada.
Ada. Oh, cepat Puan Elizabeth ready. Thanks Dr. Hanim. Thank you Ong. This is Linley. Linley, don't worry. Yeah, it's still for those who are in your first semester. You are still searching on your topic yet, you know. Don't worry too much on your statistical software. Start with your problem statement first, you know. Kan, Dr. Hanim, takkan lah kan?
Yeah.
Semester dah belajar, dah nak analysis.
Consider lah your data. Ada tak data? You agak-agak ada data tak? Boleh senang tak dapat data tu? Kalau boleh, ada datanya, then you buat je. Your
Contohlah, for example, my students want to do hotel industry. They want to go for GM. I said, is it easy to get that? You know, GM is not easy to hold a interview or questionnaire. You know, maybe you can adjust here and there. Tengok, kan? Siapa ni si Azwa? Hello Azwa. Hi. Okay, kita ambil gambar.
Okay.
Doktor.
Tidak ramai kan?
Tidak
ramai buka kamera. Okay. 1, 2, smile. Smile. Okay. Freestyle.
On.
1, 2. 1, 2. 1, 2. Oh, okay, thank you.
Okay, thank you, Puan Eli.
Everyone.
Okay, thank you.
Bye. Thank you, Dr. Hanim.
Okay, thank you, Dr. Zanti. Thank you, everyone. Bye. Good luck.
Thank you, Dr. Hanim.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Very informative.